Okay, it's been a while. I hope you guys are in shape. Let's start again with the Mishnah. I'll start with a Rambam. And then we'll go to quote a Rambam. Let's try to understand a certain Rambam. You don't have it with you. I'm going to just read it to you. It's in Perik Ches Chametz Matzah, Halacha Yud. So if you have Rambams in front of you, I suggest you open them up. Rambam writes, Perik Ches, as we know, or we don't know, Perik Vav and Perik Zayin are the halachas. Okay, basically. Perik halachas of matzah, and after the halacha of the seeper of the night, Perik Ches is the Seder Asiyas HaMitzvos. Perik Ches is the end. This is okay. Now that I told you all the theoretical laws, this is what we practically do. This is the custom. So he describes in Halacha Yud that after the eating of the Korban Pesach, and you drink it. And then he pours the fourth cup, which is the Lashon constantly, Muzgulai. It does not mean, I know there's someone who made a mistake. I think Muzgu means from the Lashon Meziga, that you have to blend the wine, but that's push it. Someone didn't learn Mishnah as well. Anybody reading the Mishnah, Muzgulai means they poured the wine. Doesn't mean they were Moizeg Esayayit. This is a mistake printed in a certain book, which is, sometimes great people make some mistakes. A Muzgu Kashbi, Gaimre Allah Vesahala. Then you finish the and you say on it equals on that kais also birchas ashir. This is a Gemara over there. Yalucha Hashem kol masecha, etc. Umevarech beri priya gofen. Eino toyim achakach klum kol alayla. Uch min hamayim. Then it says v'yesh lo limzoi kais chamishi v'leimer olav al agada. Hashem Kitov Adana is Babel. If you look carefully, this kais, he does not mention a Beri Priya Gofen or a Shtia. In all the other kaises, he mentions a Beri Priya Gofen or a Shtia. This kais, this last kais there, I just have my Muzgaj, I want you to notice it. He doesn't mention a Beri Priya Gofen or a Shtia on the fifth cup. The Kais says whatever it is, it's another topic. Then he says as follows. And your obvious question is, what's the Geisach Chiddush? Yesho ligma es a Hallel v'chol makom sheyutze afapi she'enoi makom seuda. It doesn't mention makom ha'gada or whatever else you're going to call it. But this is afapi she'enoi makom seuda, which the it's a big. What's the big chiddush after birchas hamazon? For goodness sakes, this is after birchas hamazon. What's the chiddush afapi she'enoi makom seuda? One wonders what the chiddush is. So the Ravid writes, "V'yesho ligmas ahala b'chamakim sheyirtze afapi she'ena makim suda." Amar Avraham ein adas mikabelus kei. My intelligence does not accept this ruling. The fisha ein kan shame la'arba kaisis. It's very brisker lashon. Ein kan shame la'arba kaisis. There's no shame. There's no tziruf to make this into a group called four kaisis im einam b'makom echad, if we're not in one place. In other words, it's not a mitzvah to drink four separate cups. You have to have a shame arba kaisis, a tziruf, a group identity. In order for a group identity, it must be done something which puts them together as a group. What puts them together as a group? So he believes the makom echad puts them together as a group. And therefore he thinks that since you have to have arba kaisis so to speak, put them together as a group. And then you have to be a Makim Suda. And since the Hallel is done al HaKois, so then l'chayra, then you've got to have the Hallel there. As I come to you have to have, since the birchas, since the 4 cups must be in the same place. B'mizgeret Suda, interesting. So just like we have a lachas of yayin abba, machmas asuda beforehand. That's the din of kiddush. We don't make a bracha achroni and yayin shabbat machmas asuda beforehand. Here there's a special halacha that the 4th cup also has something to do with that idea. And therefore, it's starv yachad in a makim suda. It's after birchas hamazon more to kulam. No, that this suda demands also a cup of wine after birchas, afterwards. And that's it. The chayra, I understand the case of yayin with the birchas hazimun, but the other cup also. Now, what's the get of this halacha? So Lamaisa, the Gemara does write in Psachim. In our Psachim, the Gemara, the Mishnah says, let me show you that for a moment. Yeah, let me find it for a minute. By Mazgul Leikos Shlishi. Yeah, Daf Kuf Yud Zayin Amid Beis, the Mishnah says, Mazgul Leikos Shlishi, Mevorach Al Mezaynai Revi, Goymer Ola Pesahala. The Gemara says, Amalei Rav Chanan LeRava. Rav Chanan says to Rava, Shmami Nei, from this Mishnah we seem to see the birchas hamazon to unakos. Why else would we make a birchas hamazon halakos? The birchas hamazon is not to unkos. What's the idea of having dafke a kos a birchas hamazon? Interesting, we don't say stand there a masakin. He understands the chayk. He didn't drink. It's a halacha that this is a bracha which is to unkos. Otherwise, it makes no sense to him. So the Rav Rashbam, Shema Minei Birchas Hamazon to unkos, or himself the brachas like Master Behedi the two unkos. We don't learn in the Mishnah and brachas that there's a din that Birchas Hamazon dafkin needs unkos. El Mediyuka Shema Minei Dam Breish Pirka. Shema Minei Ma'amas Nitin Tmanya. Shema Minei Birchas Hamazon to unkos. The Leimanami, there must be the Shamin Alei. Let him say, we know from this Mishnah. Why does it have to make a diuk from a Mishnah in the beginning of in brachas? Why doesn't it say the chayris this Mishnah too? Okay. Oh, so the Gemara says no raya. Why? Amar lei arba kasa tikner rabbanon derech chayris. There's 4 cups that they did derech chayris. It's halachin derech chayris. Kol chad v'chad never by mitzvah. It's not that this is a bracha which is inherently a kaisha bracha of birchas hamazon, a kaisha bracha of birchas Hallel, etc. No, it's a halacha. It's a halacha that we want to drink 4 cups of wine. Derech chayris, we drink 4 cups of wine. We already mentioned this in the Sugya of Asay, but this has to do with the idea of tzuras hasuda. That's why taking min atamchui. I discussed that already. The tzuras hasuda, they should also have wine. That's why the Mishnah says an only takes from tamchui. Good. It's not ikra hasuda like pas, but there's a sudas mishnah. As we know, sudas mishnah means the suda shenikva alayayin. So we understand that therefore the suda puts people. I want the meal with having 4 cups of wine. Elamai, we want the Chazal decided that each one of these cups should at least have they said masakin it on a mitzvah, not the birchas hamazon is telling the kais, but the kais is looking for a mitzvah, so it is the birchas hamazon. Anybody that learns this ask the question. No one thinks that Hallel is telling kais. So why did he ask what's the right from birchas hamazon? What's he going to do with Hallel? We're trying to ask the question. I'm not dealing with this today. Maybe some other time. But this is the Gemara. So the Agdor of Arba Kaisis is what? Arba Kaisis Tiknu Chazal Derech Cherus, which the Pashtus is, as we learned in previous shurim, a getter of Tzuras HaSu'uda. That's why we saw the din is that you have it's part of the Suda Mischayevis, and therefore if you did do a saber by Arba Kaisis, you have to be Chayzer Chosser the Tzuras HaSu'uda of Suda and the Arba Kaisis, as we discussed, B'das Agra. But Mamela, this is the get of the halacha. Or is that this seems to be what the Ravid is asking? I'm just giving you a little clarification of the Ravid. Shaz like this. I need to have a grouping of 4. What's he tiny? It's not it's not called four if it's not all b'makom suda. From him is mashma. It's not that the thing needs to have a suda, but in context of a suda, they're called four. Without that context, they're called four disparates, and we need four as a group. It's mashma, not the gufa kois. I need source of suda in the kois, but I need the suda as a format, as a framework in which now they are put together as a group. Because to take the charabana, let's together let the rive and then sing Agdor. So he says, if that's the case, how could you possibly say Hallel? Outside, Kulama, you have to say the kois here. So what's the question? The question is, because the Hallel is Nitkan Hala kois. We saw because Yomer Achmana, Kol Chad V'Chad Never by Mitzvah. What the shaykhs of saying something up on going on the rooftop or going somewhere else and saying Hallel, and what do you do with the cup? Where you can drink kois revi? Pashas, you can drink kois revi wherever you go. No, feltach and fear koises. There's going to be four disparate, so you have three in one makom and another makom. The shinoi makom creates a chisor in the tzuruf of the arba. That's what the Rebbe sheet is. A very interesting Rebbe. Rambam obviously argues that now we have to figure out what the getter of the halacha is. He doesn't think you need this concept of sirf who says you need arba. You need four separate cases. Mechitation, there's an idea of a unit of four that be mitzvah. It's a whole svara. It's a ganze lum this year, which the Rebbe is cooking up. Which so far I don't see anything which is muchrach, unless we find a gemara. What we really need to find is a makkah for this thinking of the Rebbe. Adirabba, alav lavi raya. Mechitation is the din of a unit called four. There's four separate cups. Face the Arba Banim are also a unit of four. Yeah, everyone stands on its own. Where do we get this from? That Rebbe is a tzorchian, but there are bigger tzorchians on this Rebbe. And the bigger tzorchian is that l'chayra, the Neshikelim bring down, it's a dvarim of Furashim that they did not say Hallel and Leo Pesach in the Makom Suda. The Lechem Mishnah asked the question. Let me show you over here. Just 1 minute. Yeah, it's Rav Magid. Excuse me. Rav Magid asked the kasha like this. He says, "V'divi Rabbeinu mevuarim b'seif perich ketzet tzaylim." It's a mefurish gemara like the Rambam pei hey amid beis pei vav amid adam sachet. The Amrinon Shosam, it says in the Gemara, Amar Rav. Rav said, "Gagim va'aliyah isleinis kachu." The rooftops and the top floors, but they don't have a kedusha of Yerushalayim. Nafkamina for kachim kalu. Achias Pesach. Hikshu mi Amar Rav hachi. How could Rav have said that there's no kiddush of Yerushalayim in the gagim and the top floors and the gagim? That's the case. You can't eat kachim kalim there, so you can't eat the korban pesach on the rooftop or the top floor. Mi Amar Rav hachi v'Amar Rav mishum Reb Chia. Didn't Rav say the name Reb Chia? Kizeisa pischa. The Hallel Pakagra, the Kizayis of Pesach, and the Hallel of Leil Pesach, it split the rooftops. So what does that mean? It means that there was no room in the house. So they used to go upstairs to the rooftop to say the Hallel. They wanted to have, like we had now, the Manishtana and the porches. We had the whole neighborhood singing Manishtana at 8:30. Unbelievable to see, you know what I mean? The whole neighborhood went down the porch on the mirpasot on the porch, and the whole neighborhood sang Manishtana for the elderly people, includes me. Okay, that we shouldn't feel lonely, so the neighborhood sang for me. I felt very nice about it. Anyway, but it does. No, they said from 70 on. So what are you gonna do? Okay, so I also sang. So the Chayr says that they went. I sang for people that I think are really elderly. Anyway, so they went on the rooftops and they sang. But it says also to the Pischa. So the Gemara, my love, the Achla be'ikra, they ate on the roof. Amra be'ikra, and they said the Hallel on the roof. The Gemara said the Achla ba'ara. They ate on the ground floor, and there it's definitely Kaddish, because on the roof it's not Kaddish. You're not allowed to eat my kachim kalim on the roofs of Yerushalayim. But Amr be'igra, but they said the Hallel up on the roofs. Ad kan the Gemara. The Chakasha L'cher steht in the first in the Gemara that they ate downstairs and ate the Hallel on the roof. What do you need more than that? It's a first Gemara that the Hallel of Leil Pesach was not done by Makom Suda. It's very hard to argue, and I'm sure the Rai would look Masechet Pesachim more than once, even before Daf Yomi. Was it Pshat Ravid? How could you say? How could he have this? How could he have said this? So often the Gemara, Rabbeinu Menayach brings also a first Tosefta, and this is negad to the minhagim that we have today. If you have a Tosefta in Arvei Pesachim, the Tosefta writes as follows: in Brisa Hey, Perik Yud of Pesachim, Bnei Ha'ir, people in the city. They're not very literate. They don't know how to read the Hallel. And they don't have someone in the house which is literate to read the Hallel for them. One person says the Hallel and everyone says you know that. I told you already. The whole Seder, was one person said and everyone kept their mouths shut and listened. Okay? It's often a Gemara, Daf Kuf Tezayinam and Bezim Sach. So the same thing with the Hallel. So you eat the first part. You heard the first Hallel in the shul, and then you went home and you ate and you drank. You went back to shul to say the second phase of the Hallel. Came, and if they can't go back and forth twice, that's what we do. Going with kula Hallel, we finish it all before shul. This is that they said based on the Yerushalmi that the minhag of Hallel based on Knesset in Leil Pesach in the shul is because the minhag was your people which are not b'kiyim. That's why they said Hallel in Barabim. The Masechet Sefer says another reason because an idea of the Reim Mashmayachtav there's an inyan of saying Hallel b'tzibur Gadol Ma'oid. That's why we did it in Pesach Knesset. Okay, well, this is a shmuz which has to be discussed. Hopefully, I'm going to get there to this idea. We call Makayim. What do we see in first in the Tosefta? We see first that they said Hallel first, the first Hallel and the second Hallel, especially the second Hallel, which has a kois on it, and they said it in the shul. The Chatchila, they wait, they ate and they drank, and what did they do after? They went here the next Hallel. I was the time it kois for me. The first in the Tosefta, they said Hallel shalei b'makom suda. No, maybe this is a b'di'evid. So what's going to happen with the b'di'evid? According to the Ravid, you're not yotzar arba kaisus. Mechitesi, that Hallel is more important than arba kaisus. What do we do? It doesn't say if they had the possibility of eating and drinking in shul, they wouldn't have to go home. The Brisa says not that way. They didn't have a possibility of eating and drinking in shul. They went and they said the Hallel there, and they couldn't go back and forth. They would say the whole thing and then go home to eat and drink. So the state of number first. So what happens over here? What are you going to say? Where's the Hallel? Well, if there's no question about it, that the Kais Revi was that. What did they do with the Kais Revi? So obviously the Kais Revi, they went back to finish the Kais Revi. Now that's interesting. They were yaitz the Hallel in the shul, and then they went back to drink a cup. Or did they take the cup of wine with them? What did they do? Whatever it is, it wasn't Makom Suda. And they took the cup with them. It should be Allah Kais. So we see that Allah Kais does not need Makom Suda. Saif Davar, what's the Rabbi going to do with an Ufin Tosefta? What's he going to do with an Ufin Gemara? And he was a literate person. So obviously that we can't say in this Alma Menam Bavli with Tosefta like Kamah. Mainly Yerushalmi, we seem to say that not all the Rishonim saw all the Rishalmis. We see that quite a few times. But Gemaras are very hard to accept they didn't see. That's like taking it too far. So L'chara, the Rive is a big tzorchin. What's muchach in this Rive? What's muchach in this Rive? First of all, I repeat again, we have to understand the gather that Arba Kaises need a unit. They makim su l'tzarifos. That's a chiddush number one. Also, it's a davar pashut that the Hallel does not need to be makom suda. There's no reason for it to be makom suda. That's what it seems to be saying. There's no tzad to say it's makom suda. It's got nothing to do with anything in the suda. It's a separate halach of Hallel. And as far as that separate halach of Hallel is concerned, that halach has got nothing to do with the suda. That would have been okay. The only thing is, but since it's at the corner of Hallel ala mitzvah, Hallel ala kais, as we learned, because Dalit kaises tiknu kol chad v'chad alei mitzvah. So Mamela, because of the kiyum of the tzuris kiyum of our kaises, we should have said the Hallel in the Makom Suda. This is coming. I'm going to repeat this. Coming as you say this coming out. I'm going to say it again. Aleph, that our kaises is a unit. B, that the idea that although we know they're not, the getter of arbukaisis is not kaishel bracha be'etzem. It's not that there's a bracha which needs a kais. Adrabah. We have 4 cups of chayrus. There's an added takana that these 4 cups of chayrus from the sukkah, we should put a mitzvah on each one of these separate cups. Make them into a kaishel bracha. A kais on a mitzvah. It could be the mitzvah doesn't demand it, but we're going to do something with that. Now, what the getter of that, what the getter of Kaishur Bracha? Well, basically, I'll say Dvarim Shutim, which I found in the Ga'ainim. The idea is whatever you're saying Shira with Tishbachai, so saying Shira Tishbachai ain't Shira Ela Alayayin, that means the Nesachim, and therefore there's an idea of making a chshivas to the Shira by adding wine to it. It's a getter of Shira Alayayin. The Ga'ainim right, that's the idea that the kosher bracha has to be drink. You have to drink it. It's like shtiyas hamizbeach. Just like nesachim are told, nisach al gab hamizbeach. The kiyum of nisach al gab hamizbeach is what you drink. Shulchan Aruch Harav brings all this in Hilchos Birchos Hamazon. You can look it up. Whatever it be, these yisodos come out of the Ravid, and the Ravid holds. But the Hallel itself, you asked me about Hallel personally, does not need anything. Does not need Makom Suda. That's another portion. It's only because we need that the kais should be ala Hallel, so the Hallel has to be there. Muchach mikan, there's no way you can go somewhere else and come back and drink and make the bracha. Why not? The teretz is given to be the hefsek and the shooting makom. It's not mitzdarif anymore. It could hypothetically be interesting enough as far as they didn't Hallel, because you could be mekayim. The problem is, it's no more 4 kaises. He doesn't ask the kasha, what do you mean you're going to go away? Where are you going to drink the kais? Or are you going to drink it wherever you take it? That can't be because arba kaises. No. So come back and drink it. The teretz to the shooting makom, Gamanu, there's nothing to talk about. Everybody went to say Hallel. No one left over there. It's an akir sasuda, so there's nothing to do with the suda anymore, so it can't be arba kaises. In other words, from the Ravid, I do not know to say that if hypothetically they came back and drank, if they came back drank and there wasn't a Akira Sasuda, maybe that would work. What would be the din if one person stayed and wait for them to came back, which is not a Akira Sasuda? So then Ein Chanami, then he wouldn't have had a problem. They could have all come back and they would have drank the cup and it would have called Arba Kaisa B'Makom Suda. The problem is because they all went, that's the stomach of the Rambam. Trying to explain that the chayra is what he's bothered with. It's bothered with that it's not the chsorn in the Hallel ala kais. It's a chsorn on a Hallel of a kais of arba kaises. Doesn't mention anywhere in the Asaga that the problem is it's not going to be Hallel ala kais. Why? Because there's 2 options. You can either take the kais with him hypothetically, or let him come back and drink. The teretz is they're fine. It won't be part of arba kaises. He doesn't say if he comes back and drinks, it won't be called Hallel ala kais. Interesting to say that. Okay, and why? Because as long as you understand that the reason you're making the bracha now, the bracha b'chsayayin on the Hallel you sit on the top floor, that would have been enough. But l'chayr, there's no tziruf. The only way to think of a tziruf would be if al pidin you had to come back. But if al pidin you're going to say that al pidin you have to come back, and that makes it tziruf, so then what's his kasha? If you're going to say because al pidin they all have to come back, so maybe there's no hesach hadash with the shinui makom, because you have to come back for the arba kaisis. Okay, that's what you're going to say. Well, if that's the case, it should be a kiyum of arba kaisis. So now the question really, so this is basically Shittas Harayv. Okay, I hope that's clear. The problem is, what do we do with these Gemars? What's muchach from the Ravid? That's the chayz. The Ravid is machriach that there's a halacha of Hallel, which is not mechayiv kos. And there is a halacha of Hallel, which is mechayiv kos. It seems to me, don't want to sound like very briskish, like there's two levels of this Hallel. The takana of Hallel was on with kos is A, and there's another idea you have to say Hallel even without that takana, and that doesn't need kos. That has to be said in the right. Because on one end he said that the Hallel must be done b'mekayma, and the other end is a Mefurish Gemara that the Hallel of Lev Pesach was not done b'mekayma. So what's he going to say? He forgot the brises? He's going to have to say that there's two Hallels there. Now he doesn't mean the first Hallel and the second Hallel. He's got to mean two dimensions in the Hallel, which one does not demand, and the other one does. Equals, they would have to say the Hallel again on the kaisa down the meal. So what did they gain by saying Hallel on the rooftops? The Teretz says they gained a certain thing. What is that certain thing? That's what we have to talk about. You know, the Ravid cannot possibly say that the only Hallel they said was the Hallel on the rooftops, because that negates what he's saying here. He has to say, no, even though those rices which said there was Hallel on the rooftops do not say there wasn't also Hallel b'makom suda. Just as the Kashi, if that's the case, what did you gain? What did you gain? What do you need them for? The Teretz says, no, you have this, there's a dimension of Hallel which does not demand the kos, and the dimension of Hallel which demands the kos, and they split it. In order it shouldn't be crowded, therefore, and they want to sing B'kol Raush Gadol, that's what they did. They went to the rooftops. So that was the Kiyum Din of Mocha B'kol Am. The whole Klal Yisrael was on the rooftops. Very beautiful. But then they went back and did their private little Hallel. Otherwise, there's no Eitzah for this ride. That's the Pashtus. And the question is, what is this? What are these? What is the Agdors of this Hallel? That's the real question on the table. To understand this and to understand what the getter of Hallel is in Leil Pesach, so let's start with back to the Mishnah that we learned in Daf Kuf Tes Zayin. We'll start with that. The Mishnah says Kuf Tes Zayin Amid Aleph Rabban Gamliel Haya Omer Kol Shalei Omar Shloisha Dvarim Ela BePesach Lo Yotza Yedei Chayvasa. Was meant Lo Yotza Yedei Chayvasa? So the Ran says it doesn't mean you're not Yotza Legamre. It wasn't Yotza Mitzvah Kitikunoi. What's his raya? It's a Mishnah in Sukkah that we discussed, Avchav Ches, which Beis Shammai says that if you're sitting in a Sukkah and the table is found in the house, Rosh Yevaru v'Sukkah v'Shulchan b'Abayis, so you're not Yotzi Deichav, it's no good. Gzeira Shema Yimoshech Achar Shulchan. So the Gemara says over there that Beis Shammai went to visit Rebbe Elazar Harani, and they saw him sitting that way, Rosh Yevaru v'Sukkah, and the table was outside. So they told him, Im kacha sisa lo kiyamta sukkah miyamecha. Mashma, you weren't became sukkah at all. I look, it's only Xavier Rabbanah. How can you tell me it wasn't Mekayim the mitzvah? So I mentioned, Taisa says in Sukkah, Dav Gimla Mid Aleph, that Midrabanan, they were oiker the Kiyum De'iraisa, a big chiddush. Not only Yesh Koch B'yat Chachom L'Aker Doverman Atayr B'Sheva Altas, they can tell you not to do a mitzvah, but more so, they're oiker the Kiyum of the mitzvah. You're not even Yotze the mitzvah De'iraisa. That's Taisa in Sukkah Dav Gimel. I quoted that in the previous year. But the Ran doesn't think so. The Ran argues with the Taisa. At the time pointed out that some machlekes also in Baalei HaTaisvos. By Tkiyas to Meyushiv and Tkiyas to Me'umid, I don't know if you remember this. The Ran writes before Shirim Psachim that definitely you're Yotze the mitzvah, for goodness sakes. Xerid Rabban is not oiker a kiyum of a deraisa. So obviously the language lo kiyam to miyod mecha means that you weren't mekayim kitikunoi. But then he says memela. That's the same thing here too. When we say lo yotzei chivasai, which is also probably a din d'Rabbanan, this whole din of Reb Gamliel. So we're saying this instance of din d'Rabbanan, you weren't yotze kitikunoi, but you're yotze the mitzvah. You didn't do it in the best fashion, but you're yotze the mitzvah. Al derech that we discussed by Kriya Shema without the brachas, things we spoke about in the past. That's the Ran Shita. So this which chayva ketikunai do we need? That's the question on the table. What is the makkah? Which chayva are we mekayim? So here there's something interesting in Taisvus. In Dav Kuf Tezai Ibn Amid Aleph Divrei Amasav Amartim Zevach Pesachu. That's the makkah because it says V'amartim Zevach Pesachu. Piresh be'amira. I mean, you have to say this. You have to articulate this. You have to explain what you're about to do. Shetzorech loymar, you must say before you eat the Pesach. Pesach zeh, this Pesach shanu eichlin that we are eating al shema, and you say whatever you say. And then we say v'iskash matzah umor Pesach. We know that matzah and mora are equated to Pesach. Why? Because the pasuk says sli'eshu matzois al merorim yechlua. In the mitzvah of achila, the korban pesach, it's a mitzvah of achila, as I discussed, matzah as the bread, pesach as the meat, and then the vegetables is the morah. It's a good shawarma sandwich. So that's the mitzvah of eating it all together, mikra adin. And therefore, since there is kish, it's one mitzvah of achila. Therefore, just like you have to say pesach, you also have to say matzah zu, you have to say morah zu, because all these are part of the same achila. Kum tais lefizeh. What is this halacha? It's a halacha in the kiyum din of achilas a Pesach, which the tzura of achilas a Pesach is Pesach matzah umor. It's also a kiyum din since iskash matzah and mora lePesach. Therefore, there are also halachas that when you say that even matzah b'zman is also deraisa kiyadua. We say iskash the mitzvah of achilas matzah is hukash the mitzvah of achilas Pesach. State lefi zeh. If this is the makar of this halacha, even it's Rabbanan, I'm taking for granted this is not a drasha gemura, probably a smach for the alma. I take for granted from the Ran that this is Rabbanan because he equates it to the gzeira of Shema Yimoshech by Sukkah, and the only common denominators there are the Rabbanan. State does that Rabbanan made a tzura of how to fulfill the mitzvah of achilas matzah and achilas Pesach. The achilas matzah and achilas Pesach is told amira, pirush. The Gedra Advarim is probably just like it's famous in the I remember there's an Atziv, but I think it's in Rishonim, Maral definitely, that says that why there's so much bread in a korban taida because you couldn't eat it on your own. Therefore, you were going to have to invite a lot of people, and you would tell the story of your haidoya. And your mefarsim is haidoya taida sakadosh baruch hu. No, that's a din by shlomim and by taida. By taida. No, therefore, l'chari here the idea of achilas Pesach is pirsum roness. Therefore, what happens is you have to explain, articulate what you're doing. That's part of the tzur of Haggadah. Just like the halacha, you're supposed to talk to yourself, there's no one around, or tell your children, you have to explain the Haggadah. You have to explain the achila. The halacha is not just to eat it, and achila sheyesh bo pirsum, and achila sheyesh bo schira, and achila sheyesh bo pirush. That's the get of the halacha. You eat what we would call explained Pesach, explained matzah, and explained morah. So this is the halacha. What's the mechayiv of this? The mechayiv of this is mitzvah achilas Pesach. Mitzvah achilas morah, mitzvah achilas matzah is mechayev v'amartim zevach Pesach. You have to say that because if the reason was because of kiyum din of Yitzias Mitzrayim, there would be a hekesh. The only hekesh you have from matzah, morah, and Pesach is because in the mitzvah achila of matzah, morah, and Pesach, not because they are kiyumim in Sipur Yitzias Mitzrayim. The chmucha from the Taisvus that this din of Rabbi Gamliel is a harchava and a din which comes out. Take matzah for example. Bisman hazeh is mechayev amira. Pesach bisman habayis is mechayev amira. Morah mashma afilu bisman hazeh is mechayev an amira. Why? Because morah was mechayev an amira bisman habayis. Now, what does the gears to the Mishnah further? So the Mishnah continues and says, Elim Pesach Matzah Umar, Pesach al Shum Sheposach Amalkim Abati Avisim Mitzrayim, Shenemar V'Amartin Zera Pesach Hashem Asher Posach. If you don't mind, I'd like to see, okay, we'll go weiter. Not in all Gersos, we have the Psukim, so I'm just saying that's the truth. Matzah Shum Shenigla Avisim Mitzrayim, Shenemar V'Yayfes Abati Shetiyum Mitzrayim, Emora Shim Shemora Mitzvim is Chayav Yisem Mitzrayim Shenemar Vayimor is Chayev. Now, until now was the statement of Reb Gamliel. We all know, as we learned in the previous shiurim, that the Girsus are Rif, the Girsus are Rosh, Girsus are Ramba, the next piece of a whole door v'dor until the words of Seis and Mitzrayim are not actually in the Mishnayos. Open up the Rosh, just to open the seat on yourself. Open up the Rosh if you want here in Daf Kuf Tezayin. So the Rosh writes, and in Ois Lamed, page Memdad and Ois V'Hadar, he brings the Mishnah. He changes the order of the Mishnah, as does the Rif and the other many Rishonim. It starts with Pesach, then he says Morer, and afterwards it says Matzah al Shum Mo, al Shum Shal Yispik V'Tzekas Avisayin LaHachmitz, at Shenigla Leim Melech Malchem Lokash Bochu V'Golam Shenemar V'Yoyfus Abotzik V'Goymer, Lefichach Anachnu Chayovim Lahoides Lahalo, etc. That's the Girsa, as we know. We learned last time. Also Das Rambam, also Das Rif, also Das Rosh. You look in the Mishnais and Shunin Nischos, you see Reb Kisvei Yadar that way. So let's try to understand according to that Girsa, which seems to be the Girsa of Yisrael, Rabbi Yisrael, Gedolei HaRishonim, which Allah is based on them. Rif, Rosh, and Rambam is the basis of the Shulchan Aruch, as we all know. So that should be the Ikar HaNusach. Okay? And if you open up the Agada, he does say he adds B'chol Dor V'Dor, because that's the Minik Shenemar, but he does not have the pasuk of Bavur Zos Shalib Tzei V'Gat Lebincha. That's not there. You open Agada Shul Pesach of the Rambam after Perek Ches. He does. This is the Minik HaMakubal to add this in the middle of the words of Reb Gamliel, but he does not add the pasuk. We discussed this last time. I will not go back to this again. So I just want to understand now the framework of the Mishnah. Rebbe Gamliel says you have to say X, and that's halacha number one. And this is what he has to say. Where is the end of the quotation of Gamliel? If you take away the B'chol Dor V'Dor, you're going to have to come and say that the Lefichach is also part of that quotation, because that's exactly the language that we say. He's literally saying liturgy. So what's he doing? He says, not just Pesach Matzah Mur, but also you have to say, articulate, etc. This whole nusach until the name of the fun of Hallelujah. And there's obviously an etc. because then you say the end of Hallel. And the Gemara says, Ad heichanu omer, till where do you stop in the Hallel? So until here, basically until the words Hallelujah at an etc. to somehow the ending of Hallel, this is basically the Lashon of Reb Gamliel. Because this is all liturgy. And if Reb Gamliel introduced the liturgy, where is the stop? Where's the breaks here? I pointed out this is one of the reasons which it does, unless you're going to say that you also have to say B'chol Dor V'Dor, that's also part of the din of Reb Gamliel. Then that's a Lashon. But I'm taking it away at the moment. I'm taking that away because the Rambam doesn't think so in din. That's not the Girsa Mishnayos. So what do I have? What is the Lashon? What is the Mimra of Gamliel? If you ask a person, what did Gamliel say in the Agada? They'll immediately tell you, he said you have to say three things. Pesach, Mora, and Matzah, according to the Seder, the Rosh, and the Rif. No, what else did he say? Well, he got news for you. He also said Lefichach. And he also said Lefichach in the name of Hallelujah states, and the whole Hallel business off. As far as where you chaysim, this is where the quotation stops. And where the question, Ad heichanu omer. Until now was a quotation of Amira. Ad heichanu omer. This is a new question on the table. So the Gemara, B'Shabbai Omer Ad Ema Banim Samecha, B'Sil Omer Chalam Mishlamayim Nemoim. Where does it end? The Hallel Kamot. Stop. B'Chaysim B'Geula. What is Chaysim B'Geula? I taught you already in the past. Chaysim B'Geula. Rashbam says that means you Chaysim the Haggadah. Equal. This is part of the Haggadah. It's not just a din of Hallel. It's part of the Haggadah. And this is, we found the Rashbam Daf Kuf Yud Zayin, when he discusses the memory of Rav Chaisim, and there he says, it means the Hallel, shel arbe psachim, shel Chaisim, Gal Yisrael. It's a chesima of the Hallel. What they done the Rashbam and Kufta Zayin, he tells them the Chaisim is a Haggadah. And the memory of Rav and Kuf Yud Zayin talks about Chaisim is a Hallel, that their Hallel is Mischayim, it didn't Haggadah. That's the Chayr, that's true. The Rambam says the calls of Nikra Haggadah includes the memory of Rabbi Gamliel. But according to how we read this, it comes out, where does the memory of Gamliel end? The memory of Gamliel ends literally with the end of wherever you're Chaisim, either Neim Abanim Smecha or Chalam Shlemayim Neimai. That's where it ends. That's the memory of Gamliel. The Chasima, of where we stop exactly, and the Nus of the Bracha afterwards, that's already some other addition. According to that, what is the getter of the halacha of Rabbi Gamliel? What does the lefichach mean? What leficha because of what? How does this add with what he started? Shlei Amr Shloishid Varmel Yotzei Kevasa. Akoch lefichach goes on that. That which, what was the mechayim? If he was talking about the mitzvah of Sipit Mitzrayim, I would very nicely say that the Haydus or the Hallel or Shemach is because the din of Haydoya roness. And the mechayim is Sipit Mitzrayim. But many people quote the Rambam and Sefer HaMitzvahs, which is not found in Yad, that part of the mitzvah of Hallel of Haggadah is the Haydus LaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's found in the Sefer HaMitzvahs. It's correct in Kuftan Zayin. L'chayra, it's not mefurish in Yad, that halacha. I'll show you in a minute what the Rambam Shita is. The Mashmos Pshuta of the Mishnah is what's he saying here. But since we learned that no, Rabbi Gamliel didn't start talking about the mitzvah of Yigat L'Bimcha. What was he talking about? He's talking about the mitzvah of Achaltem Zevach Pesach. Tzrieshu Matzis Amoraim Yechlu. He's talking about the halacha that Pesach is Mechayev, Matzah is Mechayev, and Mur is Mechayev. This means the Achilas of Pesach is Mechayev. What? To explain what you're about to do. So now what's the Lefichach? The Lefichach, just like the Achilas of Pesach is Mechayev, to explain what you're about to do, that Achilas HaPesach is also Mechayev, L'Haydus, L'Halul, Shabbat, L'Foyer, V'chulu, 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 V'leimer Hallelujah. State L'Chayr, if we take the Mishnah Kipshuta, according to the Girsas of Rishonim Rishonim, it's Kemat Mefurish. I think that would be the simplest way of reading this. Once we accept this, all memory of Gamliel until the Chaysay, and the Kemat, no other way of reading this Mishnah. I don't see a way if you read carefully. If you take away the B'chol Dover Dor, because that would definitely would cut it, because that sounds like a separate, it's a din. Okay? Fakir, then, okay, well, let's go. The only thing we know we have to say is the Amira, Rabbi said, he says you have to add to the Haggadah the words Vaisanu Haitzim Misham, which is the Brisa found in the Haggadah afterwards, which says, it says, and that's what Rav is talking about, that piece of the Haggadah where it brings the Psukim in Parshas Veschanan, which we discussed in the previous year. Okay? That's something else. So this also gets stuck into the Haggadah because remember the Rav. But this piece of B'chol Davar Dor is obviously also, it's obviously part of Vayisonu Haitzim Misham, because goodness sake, it's not in the Mishnah, according to the Rishonim. So if that's the case, what's the get of the Din of Rabbi Gamliel? The Din of Rabbi Gamliel is very beautiful. That the mitzvahs Achilas HaPesach Matzah and Mor was meant to Zogim Midiraisa. There's no more Pesach, and Mor is now only in Drabanan, but on the key mitzvah of Matzah, which is still there, which is the Araisa, Kimavur and the Gemara Machlekes, Rebacha, Bayakiv, and Rava, and Kufchaf. We pass like Rava, the Matzah B'Zmanazeh is the Araisa. We pass it Be'erev Teichlu Matzahs. State as Rabbi Gamliel that the din is that at least with Rabbanan to do that mitzvah ketikuna, it's a mechayev and an amira. So what's mechayev the amira? The mitzvah's matzah is mechayev and amira. Lefichach, just like the mitzvah's matzah is mechayev and amira, the mitzvah's matzah and the mitzvah's akot is mechayev a halal. That's the reading of the Mishnah. The Hallel Kamor definitely is Mischayev, specifically is the mitzvah of the Machilas Pesach. which then meant matzah or more. Bismana said, at least with your abundant, that the Hallel is ala matzah. The Chayritz Mefurish in Rambam. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Korban Pesach. Just 1 minute. I sent you these sheets. You should have it. In Hilchos Korban Pesach, Perik Hey, Perik Ches, Alochet Tetzvav. So the Rambam Kfa Bi'alna B'Kama Mekayimos. She'ein HaPesach Nechel Ela Ad Chatzois. Te'laharchik es ha'odem min ha'aveira. What's this? We paskin l'maisa. Machlekes Rabbi Akiva, Blazer ben Azariah, where the Pesach is Nechel Ad Kol Halayla, like Rabbi Akiva, or Ad Chatzois, like Rabbi Blazer ben Azariah. According to Rabbi Blazer ben Azariah, Ikar din deraisa is till Chatzois. According to the Rabbi Akiva, no, Ikar din deraisa is Achiyala Amud HaShachar. Okay, the mice, it's a very big machlekes harishonim how to paskin la'aloch. Very big machlekes harishonim. Read the Rashba and Ritva and Palei HaTaisvis found and Shita found in Barachas Taftes. And there's a big shmooze. How do we paskin l'dina? It's a very big machlekes harishonim. This is the basis of the famous Tnai of the Avnei Nezer. Is the din chatzais is afikaimen until chatzais? That depends because of the culture of blood Nazariah. You have to eat before chatzais. So after chatzais you can already eat because you can't eat. The oven has to be b'zman ha'achila. You finish zman ha'achila, you can now eat and drink afterwards as much as you want. If the halach is Rabbi Akiva, so pech is nechel kol halayla, so you don't really have to care about it if you come in with chatzais. But on the other hand, you can't eat anything all night until the morning. I don't know if you know this. Maybe you should think about it. This is basically the concept of that famous Tnai of the Avnei Nezer about the Kaim. Rav Hutner used to do it. Anyway, going back to here, so what he paskins? He paskins the halacha like Rabbi Akiva that Pesach is nechel kol halayla. But Afal Pikein, once again, another machlekes or Rishonim, according to Rabbi Akiva, which Pesach is nechel kol halayla, is there the classical din of laharchik odem and aveira, just like by Ma'ariv. The din is the shmai by Krishma Sha'arvis, although the din is called halayla, but laharchik is odem and aveira. We can only do it till chatzais. Ad kedei kachi, if you call Rabbi Yochanan says, because of that, if you read after chatzais, you're not mekayim the mitzvah. You don't say Kriya Shema. If you remember that we discussed that already, we learned that inside. Rabbi Yochanan and brachas, if you blew it, you don't say it anymore. Yes, as they told you, do not read the Kriya Shema after chatzos, and don't do it. That's Rabbi Yochanan Shita. So is that apply also by Korban Pesach? Once again, a Shailin Rabbi Rishonim. Again, Rashba, Ritva, Taisvis, all this in brachas staff test. It's a sugi and daf test samad aleph in brachas. Worth seeing. If I want to do this thoroughly, you're going to have to do a little homework. The state the Ramu la'aloch for beyond bilchus chametz u'matzah would become she'ein pesach necha ela ad chatzos to Rabbanon kedei laharchik min ha'avera. So he said he passed into Rabbi Akiva, but he passed into laharchik odem min ha'avera, and that's the din of chatzos. Within Torah she'achal kol halayla she'yala amud hashach. Ukvar bi'arnu. Now listen this carefully. Bilchus chametz u'matzah shehu ta'un Hallel b'shas achilotzah. There's a din Hallel which is told b'shas achilotzah. Another loch is she'ein bnei chabur choyzin v'oichin ach shenirdu b'sheina afilu b'tchilas halayla. People that fall asleep at the Seder, they messed it up. They should not fall asleep during the Seder. Tell this to the ladies. So when Mela Dosh take that, or Vosh take Mefush Rambam, then what's the Mechayiv of the Hallel? The Korban Pesach. She'u ton Hallel b'shas achilotzai. That's the din that the Hallel is Mischayiv because of the Korban Pesach. He sends us to Ilchis Chametz U'Matzah. Where exactly in Ilchis Chametz U'Matzah does he mention Hallel is torn because of Korban Pesach? You can look from today until tomorrow and afterwards. I can tell you right now, it's not there. Where is it? Where could it be? It's not in Perik Vav, it's not in Perik Zayin, and that's the Mitzvah Halayla. You can check it out. Please do it on your own. Okay? The only place where it's going to be found is in Perik Ches and Seder Hayom, what we do. Really, I'm not fair here. I'm going to ask you to trust me at this stage, but I really don't think you should. You roll through because chametz and matzah. There's no problem. It's an easy read. You got nothing else to do. You're stuck in your home. If you're in Israel, you ain't going anywhere. Okay, I don't know about New Jersey per se. I don't think you can go anywhere either, can you? No, there you have it. So you ain't going anywhere. So what's there? You have Perik Ches. In Perik Ches, you have Halacha Hey, and there it says, the first Hallel it says, blah blah, and then he says, now he tells me the Mishnah of the Lefichach. That's Hallel Kabot, the first Hallel. The second Hallel we know is found in Perik Yud, in Perik Ches Halacha Yud, where he says afterwards, that the only places where he mentions the Hallel in Hilchos Chametz Matzah. And what did he tell me in Hilchos Korban Pesach? He basically told me that Hallel mentioned in Perik Ches, Halacha Hey, and could be also Halacha Yud, is not a din of Hallel, it's not Kedushas Hayom, or anything like it. It's a Hallel because of the Korban Pesach. Elamai Bisman is I don't have a Korban Pesach, so but Rabban it's not on the Morah. Say for the Korban Pesach. And that's the Bechayev of the Hallel. And this is where's this all coming from? Some push Ram. When he writes in Perik Ches that the Bechayev of the Hallel is Nechal Ima Pesach. Let's make Nechal Ima Pesach. Which Hallel is he talking about? Which is Nechal Ima Pesach? Well, there's one Hallel before the Achila, and there's one Hallel after the Achila. So which one is it? The text is a davar pashut. Rabbi Gamliel taught you that the first Hallel definitely is Mischai because of the Korban Pesach. That's the pshat in this Mishnah. Just like Achilas Pesach and Matzah and Morah. It means Mitzvah Achilas Pesach. But at the Achilah Patzis and Morim Yoklu is Mechayiv and Amira of what? Of the Amartams of Pesach. To explain it, Lefichach, that same thing of Amartim is also that same Korban Pesach is Mechayiv a Hallel afterwards. Elamai Bisman as I don't have the Hallels, I don't have the Pesach, so it's the Matzah. But this is
why is it Lefichach? Why Lefi? It's the same. It's parallel.
Because of the aforementioned mitzvahs. What's your belief?
It should be Kamoikain. Should be
Lifnei and the Shvach Achrei. This idea of talking about the thing because of the matzah. What's Mechayiv to say Pasel Zishan Achayach Shuma? The mitzvah of Achila. That same mitzvah is also Mechayiv to say Hallel. Mitzvah Achila is Mechayiv Be'amartem, and mitzvah Achila is Mechayiv Hallel.
Okay.
Otherwise, what is the Leficha? You have to have a Leficha based on something. Look at the words.
Because of the nes. Could be because
that same Hallel. What?
Could be because of the nes. Because of the nes that we've just explained, that's Mechayiv Hallel.
Stop. Which nes did you mention on the Pesach?
Who do you have a share with?
On the Morah.
By Matzah.
Which nes?
By Matzah.
What? Which one? Al-Shenigla B'Sen Mitzrayim. He didn't mention nes. He mentioned Geula.
Good.
You see him in Mitzrayim. The pasuk v'yefus habatzek is the nes. You want to talk about nisim? That's not it. This is not the Mishnah talking about nisim. We're talking specifically of why we eat matzah, why we eat korban pesach. We mentioned nisim here. Look at the psukim. Which nisim? The only nes is Hashepasach Habatei Yisrael. There are other. That's the reason you said Hallel, because only on that no other nisim. Goodness sakes, it doesn't add up.
It's strange that we say the word Lefichach in the Nusach HaGodah then.
I speak Hebrew very well. I do not see why it's strange. It's the language of Gamaliel. You're quoting a Mishnah there and there. Forget the Haggadah. What we do in the Haggadah is a compilation of millions of different things. We're not going there. I'm talking about the Lashon HaMishnah. Read the Mishnah as one flow. Take away B'chol Dor V'Dor. Ask yourself the question, where's the end of Gamaliel's quotation? That's a simple question. Where did Gamaliel end? Show me where there's a period. See, when you had b'chol dor v'dor, especially according to many Gersos, b'chol dor v'dor with a vav, then I understand it ended there. But I don't have that. According to all the Rif, Ramam, Rosh, and many other Rishonim, that doesn't exist in the Mishnah. So tell me, and there's no b'chol dor, there's no vav there. So now tell me, where does Rav Gamliel end? Where's the period? And remember,
I agree.
There is no other read. The read is right till the end. So if that's the case, what's the lefichach on what you just said? Rav Gamliel is telling you what to say. He's not just telling that's the din. He said you have to explain that that's the din. The same din of Amartim Zevach Pesach. Not just to say that you have to explain why you eat Pesach. You also have to say that because of this Pesach, I have to say Hallel. So it's not, if you Basha said Hallel and you didn't say lefichach, you were also lo yotzi yedei chayvasai. Don't you have the Chiddush of Gamliel? The gist like Amartim Zevach Pesach is mechayiv to explain before why. We also have to explain what are the ramifications of that mitzvah. This Korban Pesach we do because of reason X, and this Korban Pesach is mechayiv ma'aseh B. Rabbi Gamliel is telling me we have to literally explain the totality of the mitzvah of Pesach, what's it from and what it brings. So it's not enough to say the Hallel, you have to say lefichach. When it says it does not mean just the first part. It means the whole thing.
So actually it's four things.
What?
Actually it's four things. Actually it's four things you have to say. You have to explain each thing and say lefichach.
So it needs to say you say these things, but you say things which explain A, and because of that, then you also have to say lefichach. Yeah, there's no other way. Honestly, mishashti b'chol kelai. There's no way unless you don't care about how to read the Mishnah. That's something else. But if you're one of these people that still care about what the ancient text says, so I guess there's no other way of reading this text. Hey, brothers, if I can come out, I thank you for Chinese. Anybody who offers me a real read, which is better than this one. Okay, this is the Chayre Pashit. I don't know how to say this. Elementary Watson. So I'm telling you how the Rambam learned the Mishnah. Where else did the Rambam get this halacha that they didn't pay korban pay the Hallel? Is they didn't in what? Is the halacha not with kedushas hayom? It has something to do totally something else. It has to do with achilas haPesach. And he says it's found in Hilchos Chametz and Matzah. It's machli po etz. If you find anything else than what I just showed you. Perik ches halacha hey and halacha aleph. And Perek Ches Halacha, hey brother dear, that's mamish what we've been talking about pshat in the Mishnah. That's the lefichach. You have to. It's not just a din of lefichach. Rav Gamliel said you have to say the lefichach. Okay, and why? That's why we say it. We taka say it. We say the lefichach. There's no indication in the Mishnah that we have to say b'chol dor v'dor. This obviously creeped in our Agad is because the other Gesos in the Mishnah, which had that part of the Mishnah. So why are you saying it? It's a din. You also tell me Allah is of Chametz Nuksha. Because the Misadri Agada also understood that that's the Nusach of Reb Gamliel. They didn't have a Ubechol Doverdor. Bechol Doverdor. It's part of Reb Gamliel said.
Yeah, but isn't it clear from the fact that Lashon Rabbim that it's also like liturgic?
I'm not hearing well.
The fact that it's like Lashon Rabbim, like Anu or Anachnu, like the beginning starts with
what's the problem?
That sounds like it's like also it sounds like it's part of the liturgy. Not now you have to say it, not just.
And what's Reb Gamliel? Isn't the liturgy?
Well, it is. But the beginning is
same thing. It's all the liturgy.
Right, but that's what it sounds like. It's not.
I don't understand the question. It's all liturgy.
Yeah, but even according
to not a bunch of halachas and said these halachas are part of the liturgy. He told you there's a din amira, and he said you have to say that amira, and there's a din of lefichach, which means to say the korban pesach is mechayiv, and we have to say it. Adirabah, the b'chol dor v'dor is really very interesting. It doesn't even fit well in the hemshich l'maisa. We don't have it in Rav Yisrael Rishonim. Obviously, our Agada has it because it got stuck in. Even then, there's additions. Because the Gershus of the Rambam, the member, doesn't have the pasuk we got the Lebicha as we discussed in previous year. That's definitely not found. You check other Kisvei, you'll find also others like that. The Mishnah, the way we have it, and that's what's found in the Agada, Lav marder avashi chosim alei. It's far from being muskim for roivak yisos Rabbi Seina Rishon. Okay, I'm putting this clear. The Rambam, we pointed out last time by Chava, we discussed this idea. The Rambam brings totally different psukim, doesn't mention we got the Labincha. Rambam Shita is the Bechol Dovador is not a halacha in Leil Pesach. It's a halacha in Kol Hashana Kula. We proved that from the psukim, where the Rambam says that the chiv is based on the pasuk in Veschana and Luchas Shniyos by Shabbos for Zacharta Ke'evra Yisa b'Mitzray. Al Zet Tziva HaTorah Muchach. It's a tziva of Shabbos every year, a whole year. Read the Rambam. He doesn't bring Vigat the Labincha at all on that halacha. Even when he brings it in the Agada, he does not write Vigat the Labincha there. He brings the psukim Veschana, which deal either with Shabbos or with the tshuva to the Ben HaChacham, which, as we explained in previous shurim, has nothing to do with Leil Pesach, if you recall. So basically, that's a B'yisa B'kutcha. The din of, according to Das Rambam and L'chayram, at least Das Rambam, before I don't want to say more, the din of B'chol Dovlo has nothing to do with Leil Pesach. It's a mitzvah B'chol Yoim B'yoim. The Yitzchak to get every Yisra B'Mitzrayim is you and me always. There's no mucker anywhere in Das Rambam that has anything to do with that. It would seem to be, yeah, okay, I'm not going to say more, but let that one go. Okay.
Rabbi, is this a mirror of Hallel? Rabbi, is this a mirror of Hallel d'oraisa?
That it would seem to be interesting. That's a good question. Is that Hallel d'oraisa or not d'oraisa? The mashmos of the Gemara is that yes. B'shonim mashma, yes, the Ramban holds that a Hallel, it depends. The Ramban in Sefer Mitzvahs holds that a Hallel ala korban is d'oraisa. It's a Ramban in the Asagis of Shirish Rishon of Sefer Mitzvahs. Ramban says it in the Furush.
Thank you.
Okay, well, because matzah and matzah, that's probably the Rabbana, but after ala Pesach, the din Hallel would be d'oraisa. We'll see that shortly. It's a sugi and erechim which has to be seen and discussed. You can read the Ramban in Arvi Psachim, which elaborates on the topic. We'll get there in Mitzvah Shemli by tomorrow. Okay, I'm going further. Yeah.
Rabbi? Why did Rabbi say that the Rambam thinks that B'chol Davar Dor has no significance to particularly the night of Seder? If in the 7th parak of Chametz Matzah, he uses B'chol Davar Dor as the basis for our kosher.
You're not doing well, but did you know? No. Look at the psukim there, first of all. What's he saying? What's the Shirish Halacha? Which psukim is he bringing?
He says, B'chol Davar Dor Chayav Adam L'haras Es Atzmo Ki'ilu Hu Ba'atzmo Yata Atzma Mishibon Mitzrayim Shne'amar Osana Hotzi Misham B'gomer.
What's that pasuk talking about?
Talking about Did
you know? You look up the Chumash. God help me. That's
narrative
the dealing with the Ben HaChacham.
Right.
That's somebody asking a question in Chodesh Elul. Remember? And then let's see Kasuv. Go read further.
Where's
that? Where's that? That's in Luchas Shniyos and Veschan and Shmos Yom HaShabbos L'Katra.
Right, but then
so it's very clear that the level of Tziva Kadosh Baruch Hu, we're not talking about Leil Pesach.
But then
let me finish. It says this. Let me finish. Is that correct?
Yeah.
In other words, the din d'oraisa is a din of Kol Hashana Kula. Correct?
Okay.
Okay, is not an answer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Good. Now that that's correct, the Rambam is saying that Midrabanan, they use that din d'oraisa, which is found 24/7, 365, and made takonos around the Leila Seder because of that. They decided to do an audio visual on that mitzvah, not just to do it b'leiv, but just like with that when we do b'leiv Kol Hashana, we do b'dibra and Leil Pesach. We also do other things Midrabanan and Leil Pesach. But that's Midrabanan. But what's the Mechayiv? The din is like this. I don't know if you're aware of this. The Rambam writes, before the Miyan HaMitzvahs, or at the end of Miyan HaMitzvahs, and beginning of the Yad, the Rambam writes that Rabbanan cannot add any dinim unless they are a takana or a gzeira Lishmar Mishmeres, because if that, they'd be over Baal Tosef. So the Rambam says, so how were the Masakin Megillah, it's Baal Tosef? Rambam says, because it's a biblical value. It doesn't have to be a mitzvah, but since there's even a biblical value of being Shabbat, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, Lord is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, that's not called, they made it do mitzvah, they took a biblical value and they gave it a form. That's not Baal Tosef. The same thing here. Here there's a mitzvah, or whatever we're going to call it. I say value, you know why? Because what Rambam Shita is, let it be, whatever it is, a biblical ups, whatever it be. And there, from a mela, that's why Chazal could make it the gun of Arba Kaisis. And if there wouldn't have been that biblical value, Arba Kaisis, Naseba would be a din of Baal Tosef. You got it clear? That's a mefusher ben the David Bon Fil and Daf Peiches, I think, in Sanhedrin.
Okay.
Okay, I didn't plan to talk about that, but okay, but now you got the whole stickle to it came out. Okay. Okay, so now we know that that's Dasaram. This Dasaram, the Chayr is Mevayir, something very, very special. Where's the mucker of the days that we say Hallel? It's a Gemara in Erchin, Daf Yud. The Gemara in Erchin, Daf Yud. I sent that in your sheets if you have them in front of you. Very important piece of Gemara, because the Gemara Taka learns Dinu of Hallel from the Hallel of Kol HaShana, from the Hallel of Leil Pesach. You really have to read from the last 10 lines, Yud Amid Aleph, and going down, I would say the first quarter of the page in Yud Amid Beis. The Gemara says as follows. This is a price found in common Mekayim with different nuschos. I'm going to read it to you. Amar Reb Yochanan Mishum Reb Shimon ben Yehoitzadok. Shmoines v'yamim shayachid geirer b'hem es Hallel. There are 18 days where the yachid finishes the whole Hallel. What are they? The Rambam makes the list also of Bnei Chutzla. It's just nice to see it in Hilchos Chanukah. Shmoine Yemei Achag. 8 days of Sukkot. Shmoine Yemei Chanukah. Verstetzach. That's 16. Beyond the Varishon Shel Pesach is 17. Beyond the Varishon Shel Atzeres is 18. And he says, Uba Goyla Esen V'echad, and make the same cheshbon with added days. What's missing here? Ramban asked the question, everyone asked the question, what about the Hallel of Leil Pesach? Why isn't it here? We're Goymer es Hallel. Why is it not found here? This is the question that the Rishonim asked. Question. It gets harder because the Gemara continues and says, the Gemara says, Maishta b'chagda amrina kol yoyna, Maishta pesach d'loy amrina kol yoyma. Why does Sukkot we say every day, Hallel Sholem, and Pesach we only say the first day, the rest are only a minute because the call is a chotzi Hallel. It's not really Hallel, it's just saying Tilim, not Ikar Adin. That's why many places can say you don't make a bracha. This goes into an old question, it's just like Rosh Chodesh. So the din is the Gemara said the Chag Chalukim b'Korban Neisayim. The Pesach ain't Chalukim b'Korban Neisayim. Every day is a different yom because it has different korbanos. Now the Gemara doesn't bring a pasuk for this. It's a svara, and you have to figure out what the svara is. Chiluk korbanos defines them as separate days. And since they're separate days, therefore the din Hallel is on every day is a separate mechayim. Right. Mashenki, if there's no chiluk korbanos, it's called one big yom tov. There could be a nafkamina. What would be the din if a person didn't say Hallel on the first day of yom tov? Should he say Hallel Sholem on the second day of yom tov? Maybe. Not muchach. Could be. Kol yom echad chaluk korban saying the Pesach chaluk korban saying. But the Gemara Akasha Shabbos the chaluk korban saying leimed, so we should say it on Shabbos. Maishna. The Gemara took for granted. What's it got to do with anything? Is the korban mechayev the Hallel? Is that what the Gemara understood? Manavshich, the korban is mechayev the Hallel. There's a korban also every day. It's not the korban which is mechayev the Hallel. It's the zman, which because of its chaluk the korban is the same as mechayev the Hallel. Because if this because the Hallel because of the korban, so even without chiluk korban the same, there's other korban you have to say Hallel. But we're not talking about the Hallel of the Korban. We're talking about the Hallel of Kedushas Asman. And the Gemara understands because you need a special, unique Korban to make a Kedushas Asman, something which is, there's a din of Hallel. We'll have to explain the whys. The Gemara asks the question, if that's the case, Shabbos should be the same thing. It has Kedushas Asman, and it has unique identity of Karbanis. Shabbos, the Chalukah b'Karbanis says she has unique Karbanis for Shabbos. There's Karbanis Shabbos. Musafri Shabbos are unique. So in Mele Leime, we should say Hallel also. It's a din of Zman Kodesh, which has the unique Karbanis Miyuchadim. So that's the same. These are not psukim. These are all found in Svaras. So the Gemara, Lo Yikra Mayit. It's not called a Mayit. We decided there's a din of Mayit. We understand there's a din of Mayit versus a din of Shabbos. Your job, my friends, please translate the word Mayit in a way which this will make sense because the Gemara doesn't say. Vos made Mayit. Okay, why would the word Mayit do well? Doesn't say because this is Kiddush Bezdin versus this is Kedusha V'Kaima. All those yeshivish svaros are not here. It's a din in Mayit. And once again, the Gemara doesn't bring a pasuk for this. This is a svar pshuta. So it's a svar pshuta. The Hallel is mechayiv a yichud of karbanas, and it's a svar pshuta that has to have a shem Mayit. He said that wasn't svar pshuta. That's an added svar of the Gemara. The Gemara originally thought it would include Shabbos. The Kamashmal, it doesn't. You got your homework set up for you. So the Gemara, if Rosh Chodesh, the Ikra Mayed, it's called the Mayed too. This is interesting. What's the marker? The pasuk says Kora Alai Mayed, Lishbois Bachurai. That's the marker. The Rosh Chodesh is called Shabbos. God set aside a time to take the children of Judea into prison. They would become Babylonian captives. It's called Kora Alai Mayed. We learn from there that Rosh Chodesh is called a Mayed, and the nafkamina is for what? For Korban Rosh Chodesh is Doicha Shabbos. So the common denominator between Korah like Moyed, Lishma is Bachurai, and the concept of Moyed has to somehow work together. Enjoy. And for the Gemara, no, that's not the Moyed we're talking about. Lo Igdish Basiyas Malacha. It's Taka Kodesh B'Kedushas Moyed, but doesn't have that dimension of Kedushas Moyed, of Isser Malacha. Therefore, it is not the Moyed which we chayiv, which is chayiv Hallel. Kol Zeh Adayin, where's this coming from? How do you know this is important? Here the Gemara doesn't use a pasuk. It's for here the Gemara has to have a pasuk. What's the pasuk? Tichsiv Ashi Yelachem Kilel Iskadish Chag. This is a pasuk in Yeshayahu. Ashi Yelachem. You will have in the Geula beautiful singing, Kalel Iskadish Chag, like the night of Korban Pesach, the night of Pesach. So it's Rashi, Hashir Hallel. Where is it again? There's no Rashi here. No, there's no Rashi here. Good, very good. Kalel Iskadish Chag. Laila Mekudish L'Chag Ton Shira. V'she'ein Mekudish L'Chag Ein Ton Shira. A Laila, which is Mekudish L'Chag. It means to say this means Mekudish L'Chag with Isser Malacha. In other words, we basically learned the din of Hallel from the Hallel of Leil Pesach. The Hallel of Leil Pesach is a Mayed. It's Isser Malacha, and there's unique Karbanis. Afalpi, the din of again of Mayed and Karbanis do not need this pasuk. The Gemara never bought this pasuk for that. But to say you also need Kilel Iskadish Chag of Isser Malacha, that you have to bring in Dafka the pasuk of Shir Yelachem Kilel Iskadish Chag. The Kana Ben Shoyel A. What's the swar and what's this? And we see here first that where do we learn the din of Hallel from? From the Hallel of Leil Iskadish Chag. That's the Hallel that we're talking about. The Hallel of the night of Pesach. Leil Iskadish Chag is not talking about the Hallel b'Shas Shchita, because the Hallel b'Shas Shchita wasn't Balayla. The Hallel b'Shas Shchita was Bein Ha'arboim Erev Pesach. We're talking about the Hallel of the Achila. Hello, people. Leil Iskadish Chag. We're talking about the Hallel of the Achila, and we're saying this is the Makar for the din of Isser Malacha for the din of Hallel b'Chol Hashana Kula. The Tzorach Iyun, it has to be explained here. On one hand, we're saying it's a Makar for the halacha of what's needed for Hallel. On the other hand, it's not found in the list. The Hallel of Leil Iskadish Chag is not found in the list. Someone has to help me explain the Agdara. If it's not in the list, how do we know? Maybe that's a separate halacha, a separate din. Who says it has anything to do with anything? What can we learn from there? We don't learn from there. It's almost like you are with us and yet you're not. The din of Yisur Malacha, we learned doctrine from the Hallel of Leil Pesach B'Shas Achila, which, as we learned in Das Rambam, is mischai from the mitzvah of Achilas Pesach, which that's why it's not in the list, but it's not part of Kedusha. It's not a Hallel of Kedushas Azman. It's a Hallel because of the Zman Achilas Pesach, not because it's the holiday called Pesach. Yet Afal Pikein, when are we going to say that the din of Achilas Pesach is Mechayiv? It needs a framework of Yom Tov, Malacha, and Chalukah Karbanei Seim. Yom Tov and Malacha, we seem to learn from Yom Tov and Chalukah Karbanei Seim. We haven't said Aswara. Yisur Malacha, we know Dafka from the Hallel of Leilis Kaddish Chag. Although Leilis Kaddish Chag is befushed by the fact it's not Monuin, that's the Getter of the Rambam. It's not found there. It's not found there at all. It's not found in the list. There's another thing to see, which is really very interesting, how the Rambam brings this halach in Hilchos Chanukah. I'd like to show it to you. The Rambam writes in Hilchos Chanukah, Perek Gimel, halacha Vav. So the Rambam, Loi halo shel Chanukah b'var hu b'divrei soifrim. El kriyas halo la'olam b'divrei soifrim b'chol ha'yomim shegoyrim b'emes halo, etc. And he brings the list. And once again, obviously, he does not bring the halo of Leil Pesach. The Ravid has a great question. I need you to think about it. So the Ravid, you say halo is b'divrei soifrim b'chol ha'yomim shegoyrim Avram. No, there's also an esem medivrei Kabbalah. Not Germer's Hallel is not just the Rabbanon. There's also medivrei Navi. Guess which one he thinks? Medivrei Navi. What is it? Yesh Bahem esem medivrei. Yesh Bahem. They have in this Hallel that you call Rabbanon. I think that all Hallels also have an Esrei Medivrei Kabbalah. Which pasuk and Navi tells us the mitzvahs say of saying all these Hallels? Hashir Yelachem Kelelis Kaddish Chag. The Rav before learns, what are you talking about? That's a pasuk in Navi, and that's Davar Medivrei Kabbalah. How can you Rambam say that? No, that's a very nice pasuk, but the Hallels are din of Divrei Seifrim. And he doesn't think so. He thinks every Hallel has within it a din of Divrei Kabbalah. Obviously, they have two ways of interpreting that Gemara in Erechin. This will reflect on maybe on the Rambam in Hilchos Korban Pesach, in the Hilchos Chametz Matzah that we discussed before. Okay, in order to continue this intelligently, there's only one thing to do. You have to take, I sent you a long Ramban to read. You have to read it all. It's a very long Ramban. It's a Ramban. It's the famous Ramban in Arvei Psachim on Hallel of Night of Pesach. It has to be read meticulously from beginning to end. I sent you the whole thing. Do it, and we'll continue this tomorrow. Okay. Have a great evening.
Thank you.